We have the largest bank holding company in Japan, MUFG, about $3 trillion managed, talking about a future where the banks leverage crypto exchanges in between global remittance payments. We have Bitcoin holding firm above 100K as of right now. You've got Ripple with a gigantic valuation. Elon Musk essentially becoming, well, in the future, about to become the world's first trillionaire. You've got Chainlink and SmartCon with $26 trillion in value enabled. And then you have some interesting kind of relationships here between Ripple's latest acquisition, Palisade, the Hedera ecosystem, and DeRec, Decentralized Recovery Alliance, that I just saw today. So this should be a decent one. Buckle up. We're going to kind of hop right into this, hopefully a little bit shorter than some of the other ones I've been doing. And if you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. You can see here, this is from MUFG, Business Solution and Advisory Corporate Banking Department, regulatory framework for stablecoins in Hong Kong and its impact at the intersection of financial innovation and institutional design. It gives you a bunch of different types of stablecoins, but I saw this image that I found was a little bit interesting because it talks about the current system or traditional cross-border payment system. Now, this should be interesting for context for people because I know that people are still saying that XRP rules the roost for cross-border payments. And whereas I do believe certainly, digital assets like XRP could be used, as we've talked about for many years on this channel, it's interesting to see the banks coming up with imagery around doing this with stablecoins. You can see figure one. You've got the remitter, you've got a remitting bank and an intermediary bank. Then you have Swift messages to country B, which is the intermediary bank, the remitting bank, and then the beneficiary of the remittance. Now, the newer layout that they kind of have here is figure two, stablecoin cross-border payment processes as an example. The remitter goes directly through a crypto exchange. That message and data and funding goes through the blockchain. The beneficiary receives the stablecoin, goes through a crypto exchange, and transfers into fiat, their nation's fiat, whatever that may be. Eventually, obviously, you get to a point where you probably don't even need fiat, the kind of long-term aspects of crypto, but we are not there yet. Most people aren't paying their utility or electric bills in volatile cryptos. I think that we'll certainly see stablecoins with the Genius Act, those options being more and more available. But really interesting to see kind of the layout here, and I thought it was a pretty cool one. MUFG, as I mentioned, massive financial institution, total assets around 2.7 to 3 trillion. Japan's largest and one of the world's largest bank holding companies. They have over 2,000 locations in more than 40 countries and over 120,000 employees worldwide. So this isn't just a mom and pop payments company. This is Japan's largest bank holding company and one of the largest in the entire world, telling you what's coming. As I mentioned, Bitcoin above 100K, $103,801. We need to hold above 100K, especially through this weekend. I think the week closes on Sunday. Robinhood quietly building a fintech ecosystem for the next generation. Definitely one of the entities that dives into crypto. And Vet posted this from the XRP ecosystem today. Obviously, there's always a lot of confusion, not only from outsiders of the XRP ecosystem, but sometimes even internal. You have kind of the polarizing people that like to say that every Ripple announcement is XRP, but there's a clear-cut separation. You can see here, in about two short paragraphs, you can read what the differences are there. As I mentioned, Elon Musk, the world's first trillionaire, Tesla shareholders approve unprecedented $1 trillion pay package despite disapproval from investors and even the Pope. So yeah, looks like Elon Musk will be soon to be the world's first trillionaire. I wanted to bring this up because I saw the document here. I'm not going to go through any of these sessions here. I know Hedera was at one for tokenization. I was trying to find that one, which is why I stumbled across this one, this whole kind of document anyways. But this is interesting. You can go through, essentially, this is the entire slide deck from the keynote. And one thing that I think is of note here is just the amount of money that's going to start moving on top of blockchain and distributed ledger. I mean, Chainlink's claiming 26.4 trillion has been enabled through Chainlink, and they say TVE, so total value enabled, is calculated by taking the sum of United States dollar value associated with each transaction utilizing a Chainlink oracle. So yeah, money moving over top of Chainlink Oracle is 26.4 trillion. That's a big number, obviously. One thing of note here within this, and I think that this is something that we have to kind of get into as well whenever we think about all assets coming on chain being tokenized. I think it's easy to assume that, okay, if you tokenize $100 trillion, that means that the market cap of crypto has to be $100 trillion. That's not the case. Think about even kind of the internet right now. You know, a lot of money and a lot of companies run on the internet right now. It's like almost more so perceived value than it is realized value. So yeah, you're certainly going to get carryover, but I think it's an easy misconception to make by saying, hey, if $1 quadrillion moves annually or is cleared and settled annually, and $1 quadrillion comes onto blockchain rails, it must mean that the digital assets, the native layer one digital assets, you know, have to absorb that market cap. Yes, I use the word market cap. I know a lot of people in crypto hate the word market cap. Absorb that value. Okay. So anyways, I just thought it was interesting, but you can read through here. I definitely have been super impressed with all the stuff coming out of Chainlink, especially over the past 12 to 18 months. And even before that, I think they've had relationships with Swift and DTCC for years at this point in time. But you can find this document. I think it's right on their homepage on SmartCon. I forget where I found this. I found this somewhere here. But anyways, yeah, you can download the whole document here. Go to blog.chain.link if you want to read through all this. I'm sure there's some really interesting statistics in here. Goes through Chainlink runtime environment, all this stuff. Ripple announces a $500 million strategic investment led by Fortress and Citadel Securities, valuing the company at $40 billion following record growth. So huge kudos to Ripple. And obviously this gets into, here's a separation. Ripple is an enterprise blockchain solutions company. XRP is a native token to the XRPL, and XRPL is a decentralized layer one blockchain. All right, now here's what I want to get into, some of the deep divey, not super deep divey, but a little bit of like these interesting connections that we keep seeing. And I'm going to get into, so first and foremost, THA Asset Guard Hedera wallet is live on the Apple App Store, which is cool. This is coming out of the Hashgraph Association. This looks like enterprise grade wallet for organizations to manage digital assets. I saw this, and this is what sparked me to kind of look into some of this stuff. Could someone check if this has DeRec implemented? So I've done a bunch of DeRec podcasts, obviously. I've had Lehman on for Decentralized Recovery Alliance alongside, actually I did the interview between Charles Hoskinson and Lehman at HederaCon earlier this year in February. I did an interview, multiple with getting Constellation on, Algorand. We just did Lace Wallet, which is Cardano's biggest wallet, and Bank Social was on there. We did a bunch of deep multiverse X, a bunch. So anyways, I reached out. I'm like, okay. And then I like am scrolling through here and I see Palisade and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because DeRec was just at Ripple Swell. Okay. So that's interesting. And I'm going and doing a little bit more looking into this, and I start seeing the name Palisade more and more, which is that's the organization that's Ripple just acquired. And I think, let me try to find it real quick here if I can. Palisade DeRec. Yeah. So they actually put out a post. Palisade, you can go to LinkedIn and find this. It says Palisade is thrilled to join. This is back from a year ago, and this is Palisade Inc. I'm going to follow them actually on LinkedIn. Palisade is thrilled to join the DeRec Alliance as the first regulated custodian. Tom Kittle, their co-founder, shares, quote, "This is a critical step for us at Palisade, signaling to the industry that we are passionate about safeguarding assets and private keys, not just for our clients, but across the entire ecosystem. We're excited to work with industry leaders to make Web3 more secure, accessible, and ready for mass adoption. Now, what you get into here is the fact that obviously Ripple just acquired Palisade. So I always find these relationships, or at least the tech integrations, semi-interesting. You do have to take this with a tiny bit of a grain of salt, because Decentralized Recovery Alliance is an open standard. So yeah, Ripple is a founding member alongside Cardano and Algorand and Hedera, and then you have multiple layer ones, Constellation, Multiverse X, Oasis, a bunch of them. But this is an open standard. This is kind of optional for integrating. Anybody can join and contribute and do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, still, I find it interesting that a year ago, Palisade joins. They're working on enterprise-grade custody solutions for digital assets. And now you have Ripple acquire Palisade. You can see the acquisition right here, further expanding Ripple's custody capabilities to serve the need of fintechs, crypto-native firms, as well as corporates. Ripple custody is intended, blah, blah, blah. With this acquisition, Ripple can now serve a broader set of customers and use cases. Palisade brings a scalable wallet as a service tech designed for the movement of value and integration, making it suitable for the use case of customers who need an out-of-the-box solution, ideal for high-frequency transactions, on and off ramps, and payments. Palisade's architecture combines governance and security features, including multi-party computation and zero trust architecture, with fast wallet provisioning, multi-chain support, and DeFi integration. Wonder if the zero trust architecture has anything to do with DeRec. So that's where this gets interesting to me. So anyways, and when I say like connections are interesting here, I did a video last week about this. So through Genfinity, I published and we found this, and I told you guys it's going to be shorter, and I lied. I'm going to end right after this. Hedera, Ripple. Yeah, bridging chains and custody. So this one, I found this earlier this year, like in May. Another DeRec member, Exponential Science Foundation. So we're doing a little bit of a rabbit hole-y thing here. I think Exponential. Where's Exponential Science? Okay, right here. Exponential Science Foundation, right here. This is one of the kind of initial entities that spun out of the Hedera ecosystem. They are a funding organization for research that drives the Web3 space forward. You could look at contributors here. Ripple contributes a lot into some of the Exponential Science Foundation stuff. So does Hedera. So does stuff, other chains and stuff like that too. Anyways, found this document. Now this is a document. It's an academic paper. Let me see if I can pull it up. Shared custodial wallet for multi-party crypto asset management. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Download PDF. Bam. Future internet. All right, let's go here. Let's see if we can get into here. Now, all this stuff is on Genfinity. It's going to be much easier for you to just read through it right on Genfinity. But anyways, these are some of the authors. So Center for Blockchain Colleges or Technologies at UCL, University College of London, also a Hedera Council member. DLT Science Foundation, which is Exponential Science Foundation. There was a rebrand that occurred probably about a year ago. Now you also have, if you read down through some of this stuff, you have individuals that are part of contributors to Ripple and things like that as well. So you get into some of these graphics here. Ethereum, XRP Ledger, Hedera, etc. And then it even goes and gives you a full chart, I think, or at least it did, of the digital assets that Ripple custody supported. Yep, right here. A survey of major institutional custody providers, and you can see Ripple custody. And this, I believe, was the first time that we saw in any sort of document, this is an academic paper, obviously, that Ripple custody supports Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP Ledger, Solana, Cardano, Stellar, Hedera, KYC, which is Know Your Customer, KYT, which is Know Your Transaction, and AML, which is Anti-Money Laundering. So again, I just find it kind of interesting that you have kind of this joint multi-purpose wallet for crypto asset management coming out of Exponential Science. That's another kind of connection there. And now we have kind of Palisade acquired, and Palisade being a DeRec member. So I wonder how far Palisade was in DeRec, because we still haven't really seen a live implementation of DeRec yet. For those of you guys that want to know more about what DeRec is, just go to genfinity.io, type in DEREC, and you can probably find tons of interviews and documents on there. But yeah, little rabbit hole type stuff. Anyways, I think Ripple's valuation is major. I think it's pretty crazy that we're about to have a trillionaire in the world. I don't know if we need to have somebody that is worth $1 trillion, but anyways, we're about to have one. And then we continue to see these kind of connections across the board. That just kind of shows this space is scaling. And then you have the world, or the largest bank holding company in Japan, worth that holds custody is about $2.7 to $3 trillion in assets, telling you that the global remittance market is about to change. And at the minimum, they're exploring stable coins tied directly to crypto exchanges. Again, I get into the fact that stable coins, at least in my opinion, are kind of this furthering of removing the red tape of the mass adoption of like crypto, blockchain, and DLT. Because once people are using stable coins, and then they're comfortable with crypto exchanges, and they're comfortable with custody and all that stuff, and they're comfortable probably with better yield and lower fees for transactions, how much easier is it to kind of bridge over into the rest of crypto? But again, I find it interesting that we're still sitting here. There's been so much news this year in crypto that just this year alone, I mean, we have the Genius Act that passed. We have pretty much every major asset manager in the world at this point in time, from BlackRock to Franklin Templeton and everywhere in between, saying that all assets are going to be tokenized. And yet we are struggling from a crypto standpoint. So makes you go, Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Have a great weekend. Bye.